Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek at Origins 2019. I'm sitting down with Jared Kaplan and Chris Kincaid. You guys are both from Lonely Hero Games, and we don't have a box in front of us yet, but you can read both of your shirts. We're talking about Bank Heist.
Yeah. So, Bank Heist is a social deduction game for 5 to 8 players. It's a game that we created with the idea that we wanted to solve a problem with some social deduction games where you just get eliminated without any sort of defense early on in the game, that sort of thing. So with our game, you played in 2 phases. In the first phase, you're sort of gaining information about people. You're robbing the bank, you're loading cash into the van, and as that goes on, you sort of start to figure out that some people may not be in your crew. They could be agents or they could be rivals. And then, if there's a successful robbery, then you move to a getaway phase. And in that phase, you've collected items from the vault outside of cash that you use to try to eliminate the players that aren't on your team. But the good thing about it is, instead of just being able to shoot someone and they're gone, there are response cards and things that you can do to avoid shots, shoot back, and that sort of thing. So it adds an action phase to the social deduction genre.
Yeah, we feel like a lot of people we've played it with have enjoyed that action phase component. We also have a few other unique things, like the first player is determined by an actual kind of a skill test in the beginning, and that can affect the game throughout, as opposed to it just being whoever owns a cat or whoever walked in the room last. So, and having the 3 factions really, I think, helps mix it up every time you play it, and it's not got a super long runtime.
Yeah.
You get to sort of feel out each one, and there's in-game modifications that can change the rules of the players. So, for instance, one time you might be a crew, but you have to be really careful because your gun's jammed. Or one time you might be a rival or an agent that is trigger happy. So maybe you shoot a lot more than you would otherwise. And it just keeps the rolls fresh every time.
Yeah. Now, is there also some variations too that you don't necessarily know how big this heist might actually be? Are there different values on these?
They're all the same, yeah. So as you collect the cash bags so the mechanic is you draw a card from the vault, and then you look at it, and then you decide on a player that you want to test. So you slide it to another player, only you know what they're receiving, and then based on their roll, they either have to play it to the truck or keep it. So agents would always keep the cash, crew will always play the cash, rivals actually have the option, and then the Sticky Fingers crew, he still works with the crew.
But he keeps it.
He's a little greedy, so he's going to be keeping the cash and throwing some suspicions into the air.
So even though amongst those 2 things you could do, it's really still not clear what their role might be.
Right, exactly. And then because only you know what you gave to that person, if you try to accuse them of doing what they did, then they can defend themselves. They can, try to say, well, I'm the Sticky Fingers crew member, even though they're actually the agent, that sort of thing.
So if they were lying, the person who was actually the Sticky Fingers is like, no, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's your social deduction.
Right.
Exactly. And once you get to the alarm phase, when the silent alarm's tripped, everybody's anticipation's a little higher, you start playing with the alarm deck. And what that does is allows you to, say, hold it right there and search someone's hand. And then you can find out, oh, you have been keeping cash this whole time, you liar. Or it allows you to go through the deck like, hey, we're in a hurry, let's get a cash bag that's not coming up on its own. So it allows you to sort of add some anticipation and build towards that getaway phase.
And rather than being able to, from the get-go, if you were to draw, let's say, a cash bag, pass it to somebody, and then they kept it, at the first play of the game, you're immediately like, they kept the cash bag. It kind of, makes people a little uncomfortable about the fact that at the very beginning of the game, accusations are being thrown out. That's why we incorporated a quiet phase. So you're trying not to trip the alarm at the beginning of the game, so no one's allowed to speak.
What a good thematic reason for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I appreciate, because I'm one of those people who sometimes immediately gets on the, or I'm fighting that feeling of being on the defensive when someone's being like, you're lying. I'm like, I've literally breathed.
Right. Yeah. You'll have that, especially your 3rd or 4th time around.
Yeah, you get to play with some people, and just no matter what, they just always think you're guilty.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing that's kind of neat is all the crew member have a little tattoo at the bottom of their card. So there are, and our shirts kind of emphasize these 2 cards, but there's 2 cards in the deck that say, are you loyal or you can trust me? And they force you to show that tattoo or lack of a tattoo to one person. So it's one way to confirm If I see your tattoo, I know you're in the crew, I know you're safe. If I see you're not, maybe you're an agent, maybe you're a rival, I have to remember that and maybe even let everybody know that if they believe me for the Getaway phase. I also like to think, I like to visualize the game when we're playing it, and the whole second half takes place in the back of a truck as you're speeding away from a bank with cash in there. So in the back of this truck, you have 5 to 8 people shooting, chloroforming, stabbing, zip tying each other, and it makes for a lot of fun hijinks.
Now, you guys, we obviously have a prototype,
Yes,
a
this
mock-up
is
in
just a
front of us.
prototype, yes.
When are you anticipating that this will be available, or a Kickstarter, or what?
So the Kickstarter is actually live right now. Yeah, it just went live last week. So we hope to get funded. We're on the way, we believe. But yeah, so we're just looking at a prototype here. Obviously, the finishes and things are going to be a lot nicer in the manufactured version.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the Kickstarter, we've gotten a lot of really nice support from some people, some YouTube videos and such that have made it nice. We're almost halfway, and if we get the total, we're hopefully going to have this everywhere.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to check that out, you could go and check it out right now on Kickstarter. This is Bank Heist, which is being published by Lonely Hero Games. And Jared and Chris, thank you again.
Thank you very much for
Thank you very
having
much.
us.
Really appreciate your time.
Yeah.